Hello and welcome to the channel. You know, not a long time ago, I had crisis situation in my project and I established Taskforce in order to enable customer delivery. And since there is not that much content out there about this topic, I decided to create it for you. This is one of the secret weapons of project management, and I believe that you as IT project manager should master it. So let's dive in and learn the basics. So what is Taskforce? Imagine your IT project hits the wall, something big goes wrong. Release breaks the production system, or the deadline is in 5 days and nothing is ready. Or critical vendor stops responding. Or maybe the system is down and customers are angry. Normal project team can't fix this fast enough. This is when you should create Taskforce. Taskforce is basically a small, temporary, high-focus team formed to fix critical, urgent problem in a project. Think of it as special rescue team. They stop everything else and solve one problem as fast as possible. It's not a replacement for full project team, it's a crisis team. So when do you need a task force? You create task force in high severity situations. And here are some typical triggers. So for example, production outage. Company's online shop stops working and every minute equals $5,000 lost in revenue. Or showstopper before go live. So for example, you are 3 days before launch and suddenly payment fails. Or major dependencies block the project. Maybe third-party API isn't delivering data and the deadline is fixed. Number 4, critical security issues. So for example, there's a weak spot in the code, so-called vulnerability, and this puts customer data at risk. Or number 5, escalation from the CEO or the high management. So sometimes the situation is so serious that the CEO wants updates every hour. So the rule here really is that if the issue is so big that it threatens the timeline, budget, product quality, or even company reputation, then you form a task force. So who is in the task force? It's a small and very skilled team which should consist of obviously a task force lead. And usually this is you, the IT project manager. And you basically organize, prioritize, and keep everyone aligned. And one important function is to update management and keep additional unnecessary pressure away from the task force team. Number 2, of course, the technical experts. Your developers, architects, DevOps, QA, but only the people who can directly solve the issue. Then you also need a decision maker, someone with authority to approve changes quickly. So this could be your sponsor, product owner, or department head. Then team size. The rule is really, I would say 3 to 7 people, up to 7 people, not bigger, because bigger groups, they slow everything down. And, think of this as Formula One pit stop team. Small, fast, and skilled. How Taskforce works. It works differently than normal project. You have razor sharp focus. Only one goal, everything else is paused. You have daily, sometimes hourly stand-ups. Every 2 to 4 hours, You ask the Taskforce team, how did you do? What's blocking? What is the next concrete action? Speed is everything. Then clear priority list. The lead should define critical path. What must happen first? What unlocks progress? And what's the fastest route? Number 4, direct communication. No email chains or long meetings, but instead chat, war room calls, and instant decisions. Number 5, fast testing and deployment. You fix something, you test it, deploy, and monitor. And then you repeat it until it's solved. Next one, constant stakeholder updates. The lead sends updates every few hours, such as what was solved, what is pending, and what risks are still there. And this keeps management calm and prevents unnecessary pressure on the Taskforce team. So now let's talk about the life cycle of Taskforce. So there are 3 phases. The first one is kickoff, where you define the root problem, you set the mission. For example, fix payment failures before Friday, 2 p.m. Very specific, very concrete. Then choose the team, and as I said, keep it lean and small. Align the roles in the team quickly. Agree on communication rules. You as a lead, you already should have it in place. And start immediately. Then there is phase 2. This is the war room phase. So let me give you an example workflow, how this can look like. So you start with analysis. So you analyze logs until you find the root cause. Then what you can do is you can create 2 to 3 potential solutions. It doesn't have to be perfect, just try things out. Whatever works. Then you assign action owners. Then you execute. And of course, after that, you should test it. Don't forget to prepare a rollback plan. Otherwise, you might have another even bigger problem. Then you deploy it, validate everything, and repeat if needed. Normally, you would repeat until it's fixed. So, and finally, phase 3, this would be our closing. So you confirm that the problem is fixed. You document well what happened. You ask your stakeholders to sign this off, to get the signed off. And then you can basically already dissolve the task force. And very importantly, celebrate success, because task force, it's really demanding. People work extra hard, sometimes very long hours, and you need to show your appreciation. All right, let me give you a little real life example. So your company has mobile app that processes orders, and suddenly customers, they complain, I cannot complete checkout, and this causes that your revenue is dropping every minute. And of course, if you have a huge store, this can mean a lot of money. So for example, imagine this would happen at Amazon. This would be a huge disaster. So then you establish task force. So for example, this would be your members in this case. So checkout is not working. So we need the task force lead. So this would be the IT project manager. This would be you. Then I would put here some developers. So we would need some senior backend developer. Then the app developer, so mobile app developer. Then we would also need DevOps engineer, QA tester, the product owner of that product, and as optional you can also include data analyst. But remember, keep it small. So, and I believe this would be R7, yes. And now how this can play out. So you kick off the task force quickly, and then you go to the work. So DevOps checks logs, and they identify errors in the payment API. So then the backend dev tests internal endpoints and finds that there is a timeout issue. Then the mobile dev confirms that UI works, but API response is delayed. So QA checks it and is able to reproduce the issue. Then the data analyst checks the traffic and sees that the request spikes. Then the DevOps scales the payment service pods. Backend dev optimizes caching logic. Then the QA tests again, and this time the test is successful. All right, great news. Now we can deploy the hotfix, and after we validate and we see that everything is fine, then the task force can be disbanded. So in this case, timeline, maybe it took 3 hours instead of 3 weeks if we just keep this run as a normal project. And yeah, this is really the power of Taskforce. And now don't worry if you did not understand some of the technical terms. I was just mentioning. You can either just pause and Google it quickly, or just ask ChatGPT for explanation. Right. So let's wrap up. Task forces are one of the most important tools in IT projects. Period. They save deadlines, they reduce chaos, avoid big losses, bring the right experts together, and most importantly, solve problems fast. And you as IT project manager, learning to run Taskforce makes you extremely valuable. It shows your leadership, also calmness under pressure, which is very important, and control over complex situations. So if you found this video valuable, and maybe you say, hey, I want to learn more about IT project management, then I strongly recommend you to register for my free training. So click the link in the description, grab your seat, and join the free training. See you inside. Bye-bye.